Merry Christmas, everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of Podium Picks. Sean Woodland and Tommy Marquez here inside the Working Against Gravity studios. We hope you're all having a wonderful Christmas, and thank you for spending a little bit of your day with us. First, though, listen, I know it's Christmas time right now, and we've talked a lot about that and the holidays and the food that you're eating and the perils of that food and what it can do to the gains that you have made this past year as we head into the Open. And if you want to protect yourself from the perils of the holiday season from a nutritional standpoint, there's no better way to have a nutritional bodyguard than by hanging out with our friends at Working Against Gravity.
And even if you maybe, stepped on a few landmines this holiday season, or just looking to get back on track, WAG can help you do that too. Working Against Gravity has their renowned one-on-one personal nutrition coaching. Listen, we all have different bodies, goals, and lifestyles. So whether you're looking to lose weight, win a competition, or just feel like the best version of yourself for 2021 now coming out of the holiday season, they will help put together a program that makes sense for you and produce lasting results. And we've talked about how they create healthy lifestyle habits that fit into your life instead of just creating a platform that you just jump on and jump off. 100% customized nutrition plan, weekly check-ins with your coach to go over progress, make adjustments. You'll have unlimited messaging with your coach as well. A bunch of different education strategies and ideas to help you work through those challenges and obstacles. It's an ongoing conversation, as I like to say, to help you kind of navigate life. And then you get access to their members-only Facebook group that is incredibly supportive, and you can bounce ideas off of fellow WAG members. And you can only get it at workingagainstgravity.com. You go there, you click Get a Coach, you sign up either on their performance track or their lifestyle track, and you type in the code. Make sure you let them know we sent you. Code ELITE50. You get $50 off your first month. That gets you through January, and then at that point you're already off and rolling. Yep. So no better way to start the new year than with Working Against Gravity.
And look, I know it is Christmas, but it is not too late to give someone a gift, and you can give the gift of nutrition and fitness with our friends at Working Against Gravity. Okay, on today's episode, since it is Christmas, we are going to do our podium picks for our most fond or most vivid Christmas memories. And I realized as I went through mine that two of mine are basically have to do with my brother and me being total idiots. So that's
that's great.
Yeah, that's we're gonna get into that, and then we're also gonna get into our Whoop podium a little bit. But I think it's your turn to start today, and we always begin every week with our spirit of the games and our dark horse.
Yep. All right. So my spirit of the games, I actually have two themed ones as well that kind of fit slightly different though. My spirit of the games, I'm calling Dad's basketball blunder. And so
I love it already.
My father, Tommy Sr., Big Tom, or Sote, as he's nicknamed, and I'm Sotito in our family. Big clumsy guy, little clumsy guy. And
you're not clumsy.
Yeah, I know. We had growth spurts that like it was
phases.
It was kind of like one of those ironic nicknames, It's like we're both really athletic, but sometimes we'll trip over a painted line, and you're like, how did that happen? But so it's Christmas. Where Mom and this is actually at the previous house that our family was at before the one we are in now. It was off of Fairfax Drive in Salinas, the Fairfax house, and there's a big concrete patio out front that led to the driveway. So I know there was one step down. And the basketball hoop, our family basketball hoop, was put up against the corner, up against the there was the garage that ran this way, and then the patio that was elevated above the driveway right here, and it was at that juncture. So you could get a little bit of extra pop jumping off that step to throw down jams. And so me, my dad, my brother, Mom's cooking food, aunt and uncle are inside, and we're going to play like a game of horse, just to get outside of the house.
How old were you? How old was your father at this time? Just curious.
So this was at least 2000, between 2005 and 2012.
Okay, so your dad was well past his athletic
prime.
Well past.
Okay, so my dad is my dad is mid to late 50s, at least. My dad's 64. He was probably 55, 56.
Okay.
So I'm probably 25.
Okay, you are in your prime.
I'm in my
Okay.
prime. Me and my brother are going back and forth because my brother's in high school now, and he's athletically gifted too. So we're playing horse. My dad jumps in, and so I do one where I run and jump off the step, present the ball as if I'm going to score on one side of the hoop, duck, wrap under, and lay it up on the other side. Class like up and under reverse. My dad goes, "Oh, watch this," and
Famous last words.
and goes to jump, but as he jumps, he trips on his own feet, so he doesn't even get off the ground. Really, he just kind of jumps off the step, and the ball goes like onto the roof, and he lands. And you know how someone, excuse me, people who are older, I used to call it old people falling, where the whole falling process takes like 10 seconds and like an additional 10 meters. It's the process. My dad proceeds to stumble trying to catch his balance all the way across the driveway. He hits into the garage door, just shoulder
I can hear
first.
that noise. Like,
It kicks him off the boards, and he continues to fall until he hits the hose spigot that's sticking out of the farthest wall of the garage, and just front flips into the grass out in front of our house. Me and my brother, to this day, will just randomly bring it up to reminisce about the time Dad tried to reverse dunk and just fell for 20 feet.
could you imagine if you had made the shot and then you had to duplicate it? Well, I'll just take the H.
and the irony of it is like he actually fell kind of gracefully once he hit the ground. He like tucked his shoulder and rolled, but he tripped off of a step, went shoulder first into the garage door, got flipped over by the hose spigot because he got a pretty gnarly Charlie horse from it too, and then didn't even come close to reverse dunking on Christmas Day.
And that's when your father knew that he was no longer an athlete. Yeah.
Oh, it was phenomenal.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Me and my brother, I think we both peed ourselves laughing.
Well, we're starting off strong here. I can't wait to hear the next one. All right.
So my dark horse is actually a little bit different too. So this one's kind of it's a dark horse because it's a little non-traditional. So my aunt and uncle we always spend Christmas together, my cousins, and so we either go up to Portland or they come down. But the highlight of that Christmas trip, one of them, is what we call Lumpia Day.
Lumpia Day.
So my uncle, before marrying my aunt, was previously married, and his wife unfortunately passed away. But he did some work, some mechanics work, and some blue collar work around the house for his mother-in-law, and they were Filipino. And as in return, she was like, what do I owe you? He's like, you don't owe me anything. Just teach me how to make your lumpia, because she made the best like homemade lumpia. And so she taught it to him. And so now my uncle, who's like, same height as me, big, kind of heavy set white guy, can just throw down with the best lumpia.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh. And so much so that my best friend Craig from growing up, every year around Christmas time texts me, when's Lumpia Day? Because he's coming over on that day. And my aunt and uncle, like, no, Craig's coming over for Lumpia Day. And my uncle makes...
I don't even know what that is.
It's like the Filipino egg roll. Think of it.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like,
All right.
But he makes the wrappers, so it's bigger. So they're like big pieces, and he fills them up with like delicious meats and shrimps and veggies and stuff. And he makes these sauces for him that are...
I believe, as our good friend, mutual friend Irvin Anfoso would say,
and it is phenomenal. And then you pair that with my mom's holiday treats, so you get the two punch combo. The lumpia hits you right in the gut, and then the sweets knock you out, and it's like that day is so good because we just eat a ton of lumpia, eat a ton of peanut brittle and fudge, and then just every's rolled up.
Get in on this.
Oh
This
yeah,
sounds
lumpia
fantastic.
day is man.
Okay. Well, those are two very solid entries. Mine are not as... I got to wait for the tomfoolery for later on. But so my first one, I'm just calling the night before Christmas. And I just have my brother and I shared a room growing up. And he's 2 years younger than me. And I have very vivid memories of my mom, and I can still see the book, reading on Christmas Eve the night before Christmas to us. And that's like, if you're going to get there's no better way to get two kids fired up about Christmas than read that story to them and be like, all right, good night, get to sleep. Because that's not happening. Like neither my brother nor I were going to sleep after that story was read. But it was like, it's a really good memory because I can still see the book. I can still see the pictures. I can still hear my mom reading it. I can still see how our beds were arranged and my brother and me both sitting there. And it was just something really special that I think at the time I didn't appreciate. But the more I look back on it now, especially that I'm a dad, might be able to hear Max in the background there. That's something I'm planning on doing for him. And I really give like my mom a lot of credit for doing like little things that made the holiday special and memorable like that. So, the night before Christmas.
That story becomes William Wallace's speech in Braveheart so quickly.
Oh,
because you're just like,
I know. And then my brother and I would argue, dude, if you don't go to sleep, Santa's going to pass us up. Like we had. He's like, shut up. Are you sleeping? No. Are you? No. You just need to go to sleep. Or I think I just heard Santa. You did not. Like that kind of thing. Like and then we, barrel out of bed at 5:30 a.m. and my poor father was just. I have to. Little disclaimer here. A lot of these stories are going to cast my dad in a bad light. He was a phenomenal father, especially when we were young. But I'll just preface this by saying my dad, like many men of his generation, his emotional range was basically like angry to more angry and didn't have a lot of patience for children doing stupid stuff.
He's kind of like the dad you see in every classic Christmas movie,
more or less. Yeah. So I'll just. So anyway, that's my spirit of the games. My dark horse actually has to do with food as well. And I'm going to call myself out on this one because my wife loves telling this story and embarrassing me in front of all her friends. So I'm going to tell it here and hopefully just like throw myself on the sword. My dark horse, Mom's cookies.
Okay.
And I guess I call it a dark horse because it's like not something everybody has, but my mom would make, and she calls them candy cane cookies, and it's red and white colored dough. And she took a lot of, like these took some work. Like she would twist them together in the form of candy cane. She'd bake them, and I freaking loved them. I loved them. And, as I got older, I got to help her make them, and then she would make sugar cookies and all this other stuff, and they were phenomenal. Like, our house is always a big hit with the kids. They'd go right for the cookie jar. So one year, this was before my wife and I had started dating, but we knew each other. We were both living in Sacramento at the time. Now, again, I had no clue that there was any sort of interest beyond friendship here because we were like really good friends having a great time.
Classic dude.
No, exactly. Totally. Just idiot. And my wife, bless her heart, got the courage to ask me one night, like after the workout, hey, you want to go grab a beer? And again, I just think this is like, oh, this is friends hanging out. All right. So my dumb ass goes, oh, no, can't tonight. Going to go help my mom make cookies. So that's what I said to my future wife. And she's like, well, okay, he's not interested. Again, me being totally clueless. And so I remember when my mom first heard this story, she looked at me and she goes, what the H is wrong with you, you dumb S? So, yeah. Whoops-a-daisy. But that's why when Matt Fraser says, date your friend and communicate like hell, he's absolutely right.
Yep.
Date your friend because I was so clueless. Oh, just an idiot. So
sorry, I got to go help my mom wash her hair.
Yeah, exactly. Could I have said anything more just unappealing? No, I'm gonna go be a little mama's boy and make cookies.
Ooh,
oh, boy,
man, talk about.
So every day I'm like, I don't know why you married me. And I think
she had an out. She
still does.
You gave her every reason.
Absolutely. Oh man,
that's fantastic.
So that's that. So okay, before now we get into our podium. So we get into the good stuff. We want to get into our Whoop podium for the day for this episode. And today, since we're recording this a week before Christmas, but since today is Christmas, we're going to say recovery for the day. So who's ready to have themselves a good Friday? We're recording this on Friday the 18th. So who's ready to get fired up and really lean in to this last Friday before Christmas?
Mm-hmm. Normally you'd be having your Christmas party. You get time off in the following day. So these are the people that had originally primed themselves for a good Christmas week. That is Jim Cleasis, number 1, 98%. Number 2, Maggie Mendoza, 98%. Number 3, Mike Baker, 98%. Nice
A
job.
recovery maker.
Number 4, Elizabeth Kaplinger, 98%. Number 5, Eric Price, 98%. His HRV is 135. Holy smokes. Alice Loft, 97%. Another 100-plus HRVer. Number 7, Ida Tornroth, 97%. Number 8, Tobias Renstrom. That's a great name, 97%. Number 9, Todd Gingras, 97%. Another ton of 100-plus HRVers. And number 10, Raymond Peterson, 97% with a 131 HRV. Nice job, everybody. You guys are crushing it. I mean, all in the green, all up in that upper 98, 95, 97-plus percentile. You're getting an A on the exam. I'm at 65%. So.
Yeah, I was in the 60s, I think, too. All right. Well, congratulations to everybody on the Whoop podium for recovery. Mm-hmm. If I ever get a 98%, I'm going to screenshot that thing and I'm going to post that on Instagram because that would be a banner day.
I had a good one the other day.
You make good ones
some in.
Then.
I had
I've been hovering right around the green, like low greens. I'm happy with that for me. That's pretty
Tuesday,
good.
Wednesday. Interesting enough, Tuesday, Wednesday I had a 96 and a 97%, and I have no idea how, but it was short lived because I was back to the yellow. To the yellow with you.
Okay,
right.
Now we're into the podium.
Okay,
into our top 3, and we will begin with Tommy here with number 3.
So this is number 3. So I mentioned how this one is called the Annual Nativity Play in New Mexico. And I made a comment about this one before, yeah. So we've kind of had shifted holiday traditions. So my aunt and uncle, that's my mom's sister, and my cousins, we do Christmas. But before that, we used to go to New Mexico every other year. Mm-hmm. So my dad grew up in southwestern New Mexico, some small town called Bayard. And that's where a lot of my dad's side still is, Bayard, Silver City area. So we would travel down and spend Christmas there. And it was our annual tradition as, Hispanic Americans. We would, we're Roman Catholic, my aunt goes to church, like 6 days a week, is like, her name is Rosemary. So, that's kind of
required to be there.
Kind of required, yeah. And she would host the annual nativity play for our family. So we would have our own Marquez family production of the nativity play that typically took place in either my grandma Concha's living room, mm-hmm. or where sometimes we would rent out like the local Moose Lodge or Coast Guard Armory, because our family's so darn big, and we'd have the party and we'd do the nativity play there. And it was a tradition that all the kids in the family would grow up playing the different spots in the nativity play. If you were the newborn, you get to play baby Jesus,
which seems to be the marquee role, right?
Yes, it is. There's a couple marquee roles. Okay. So one is baby Jesus. You're the young one. You're the fresh newborn baby, and everybody's in awe of you. Then if you were kind of one of the middling kids, you'd be the 3 wise men. Mm-hmm. So you'd just be standing there. We had outfits and everything like that. Then as you got older, there was one of the other ones was Mary and Joseph, and that was kind of a marquee role too, because you got the most screen time, if you will. And then what was like amongst all the parents, the funny marquee role is when you were the oldest cousin, the oldest kid, you got to play the donkey. So, so there's pictures of us and me as the donkey and me as Joseph and my brother as baby Jesus and all.
So wow, you have quite the acting resume. I mean, you've played quite a few roles here.
And so my aunt would always stand up and read through mm-hmm. the whole nativity scene and everything like that. And there was the innkeeper. That was like the cousin that wasn't really into it, and they only just wanted like one role to basically say you can't stay here, and then they bow out. And usually at that point, all the aunts and uncles have had a few wobbly pops, so they're into it too. And that was always and then usually Santa would show up after that.
Oh,
yeah, on Christmas Eve.
That's pretty awesome.
And drop all of the kids a little something for the effort. And then so that was always like a big part of that. And I remember, I hated it growing up mm-hmm. as a kid. I'm like, I don't want to do this. But now I reflect back and it was kind of cool. Like it was a cool rallying piece for our family, and it made my aunt happy. And, You know, like I remember my grandma always loving that, and so that was like kind of our cool like family tradition that we did that you hate in the moment and then reflect on.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's
Did you have a favorite role that you got to play? What was the one that you're like, no one else is going to play it after I play this?
I don't know. I liked the donkey role. I'll be honest. Like that's like that meant I was like half out the door. You know, I'm like, this is my last role. Yeah. I'm how long you been in for? And it's like, oh, I'm getting out in a week.
Donkey, huh?
Yeah, donkey, huh? Getting out in a week. But yeah, so that was always fun. A bunch of drunk Mexicans celebrating Jesus.
That's good stuff, man. That's a good one. Okay, so my third one, third place is the first installment of the holiday hijinks courtesy of me and my brother. My mom one year had this idea that we would have this beautiful, idyllic sort of family Christmas moment where we would actually go and cut down our own Christmas tree. Mm-hmm. And I was maybe, I don't know, 7, 8 at the oldest. So my brother would have been 5 or 6. And I can't remember where it was. It was up Highway 50 someplace in California. So that's up towards Lake Tahoe. Mm-hmm.
Placer County.
Yeah, like we get to it's like a tree farm where you go and you get that orange saw that's like the bow saw.
Oh, yeah.
You still see that thing, right? So you get that thing, and then you go out, and then you find a tree, and you chop it down, and you bring it back. Now, this was going to be like this great. So right away, my brother and I are already arguing over who is going to cut down the tree. So that so the little patience that my father has is now dwindling quickly. So I remember we found the tree. And now the argument is like, who gets to chop it down? I want to chop it down. My brother wants to chop it down. And I don't remember who hit whom here, but apparently the saw was wielded as a weapon, and someone hit someone. I think I may have been the one who hit my brother with the saw. I think I was the guilty party, but it wasn't like a vicious. But yeah, someone got hit with the saw, and now my dad is upset. He's ticked off at these 2 damn kids who aren't behaving. My mother is like, she's upset because this whole wonderful family moment has been ruined. And so I remember chopping the tree down and there's like dragging it. There was like this. You had the entrance to this place was like a big sort of open barn setting, and it's like I remember there was a bunch of people in there. And we're like dragging the tree through, and I'm wearing like my blue coat and just kind of know that I'm in trouble. And my brother's probably still crying, and my mom's trying to calm him down, and my dad's probably complaining about how much the tree costs, and then. So that was phenomenal. That was your brother with a saw. Yeah, I think I don't know if it was me. I'm guessing it was because I was the oldest, and usually the oldest is the one who acts out first because it's like, shut up, kid. This is the oldest job.
I just heard Christopher Walken from Joe Dirt. It's like, you're talking to me all wrong. You do it again, I'll stab you in the face with a soldering iron. just whacking your brother upside down.
So that was that's how we ruined my mom's. This is going to be a great family moment where we go and we. Sorry, Mom. And so that was the first and last time that the Woodland family ever went and cut down their own Christmas
cutting
tree.
Down a tree? Well,
wouldn't recommend it.
Ryan got hit in the face with a saw. Sean's grounded, and
but happy holidays.
Yeah, but all in all, it sounded good.
Yeah. All right. So let's get to number 2.
All right. My number 2 is what I call the scrub bowl.
The scrub bowl.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is a high school memory that I have from my football playing days.
Okay.
So every year we would play, we have high school football, and usually high school football playoffs ran up. So the semifinals, basically our equivalent of our state championship, the semifinals were Thanksgiving. The finals were the week after. And then there was like a weird period of transition where because the first weekend of December was the finals, and then there was a transition out of football into basketball. I played basketball too, so usually I'd play the championship on Friday, and then or play whatever playoff game we were in, and then I would hop right into basketball the next day. But the following weekend, once we got off of school, we would have to turn in our football pads right before Christmas. That was when you did the whole football pad return and everything like that. So the weekend before we would do that, we would host what's called the Scrub Bowl.
The Scrub Bowl. Oh, no.
Where
fully padded, I'm guessing.
fully padded.
Ooh.
And every guy that like wasn't necessarily like the team star, we would all get together. So I kind of towed the line. It was weird. I was a starter and I got to play and I got I got to do stuff, but I also got to like hang out and identify with the guys that just didn't play because I had friends that did both, So I always got the invite to the Scrub Bowl. And they would all get dressed up and just go dress up to the nines with all the accessories and tape and everything like that. And we would play a tackle football game for like 5 hours. It was like the longest football game ever.
That sounds like a blast.
Oh, it was awesome. We'd play it at one of the local my actual elementary school that I grew up playing at. And we would play tackle football for 5 hours. We'd have a lunch break. We'd always like finish up. The final score was always like 167 to 145.
Yeah.
And because it was just like we'd be running up the score on people. I mean, the more accessories and bells and whistles was encouraged. I remember one guy, Joe Ostorello, showed up and he had taped his helmet using tape because we had all gold helmets. He had taped deer antlers onto his helmet.
That can't be safe.
So,
oh, man.
And so he had a backup. So like it was more for like pomp and circumstance, Put
an eye out
And then
for that.
they took him off, and then like
Okay.
he had also actually taped the design of deer antlers on, so it was like a safe backup too.
All right.
But he was clearly from South County, which is the farm folk, and but yeah, it was. I just have these memories of all of us just like tackling and beating the crap out of each other, and we're just. I mean, one people's arms were just one gigantic wristband, just all taped together, and like people were double visoring it.
Double visor.
It was you were borrowing all the gear from your friends that weren't playing.
Good.
It was awesome. I mean, we were we weren't allowed to spat in high school, so we would spat our shoes and everything like that. It was phenomenal. It was always such a blast, and you'd always see at least one or two people get lit up in a play, and it was always for fun. And then we'd go get like Wiener Schnitzel after or something like that.
That sounds like a really good time. I used to love the winter football games with my buddies. Like when we'd be back and you'd go. You were still young enough to maybe play a little more rough than you usually would.
Yeah.
It's
Covered
with mud, and then coming home and having the hot cocoa.
Oh, I have this buddy. His football nickname was Stump, and he's short, wide, and stout, and tackling him during the Scrub Bowl was difficult.
Not fun.
Yeah. Oh man,
can't tackle a circle.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh.
Okay. I wish we had something like that. That's really cool. So my number 2, and I've been debating this in my head what it was going to be. I kind of made a last second decision here. So my number 2 is just simply Christmas lights.
Okay.
I mean, I remember, because I think I've been doing it recently, just driving around like looking at Christmas lights. I remember the nights where we were going to go look at Christmas lights, and it's like get in the car, we're going to go drive around, and we're going to look at Christmas lights. And for whatever reason, it was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we would try to find, because my family is weird, we would try to find like the ugliest house, like the houses that were just ridiculous. And then we would
Clark Griswold.
Right, we like remember them. And there was one, and it was it's fame. It would make the news in Sacramento, and a lot of people loved it. I thought it was one of the most creepifying things that I have ever seen in my life. And so there was a woman in our neighborhood, and actually she lived a few doors down from one of my really good friends, Dan, who would turn her whole front yard, house, and everything into a Christmas display. And she had like cut out, toy soldiers. She had like a nativity scene, and it was all like wooden, like 2-dimensional sort of standees, which is fine. But then what she would do is, and people voluntarily took part in this, is that she would take pictures. I mean, she wouldn't take them. People would give them to her, like volunteer, of the neighborhood kids and put their faces on the different characters. And it was just unsettling to behold. It was, I might have some old pictures of it. I'll have to show you. But
wow.
There was a ton of lights, and you would drive by, and there'd be like these toy soldiers with these disproportionate like human heads on them. And I mean, there'd always be cars out front and people looking at it and stuff, and people marveling over how good it was. And I'm thinking, this is one of the creepiest things I've ever seen in my life.
I'm waiting for you to tell me that, like, in one time, one of the pictures looked a little too real, and we realized that we hadn't seen Jimmy in a week. And
Dude,
then she went away for a long time.
I mean, it was just one of those things where,
Wow.
I mean, it was a marvel to behold because she put a ton of work into
Yeah.
it. You know, I think they had like in the window there was like the White House was there, like all lit up with the American flag, and there was, you know, I mean, toy soldiers and angels and a toy train, and there was, but it was the faces of the. I will never forget these photos.
Oh my
They're
God.
just burned into my mind of like these kids' heads pasted on these soldiers, and it just was weird. Not to bring the show to a screeching halt.
I
here,
mean,
but I'm
that's
just-
like, I don't know if that's a Christmas thing or it's like a satanic ritual or
it's just it
like,
was
that
yeah.
is that. I mean, it's one. Okay, so to be real, I could understand the intent that like
Right.
she wants to make this production and she wants to like make the neighborhood kids the feature of it, but
Yes.
it's a little bit too like, you know, let me have a piece
Good
of your
idea,
piece of
poor
your hair,
execution,
sweetie.
yes.
Yeah, and then she's oh.
That is not at all how I envisioned it. Yeah, it was so.
Oh God! It's
but-
like a bad wax statue, you know?
Yes,
like,
that's yes. Yeah, you're just like, ooh, okay. So yeah, but
it's a different time back then.
it was a different. Yeah, well, this was recent. Like this is up until a couple years ago. She would have this thing, and then she stopped doing it.
Oh.
Because I guess it was just so much effort. But I used to. That house aside,
Not because she was on the FBI Most Wanted list.
exactly. I loved getting in the car with my brother and my mom and my dad, and I think we would get like hot cocoa, and we would drive around and we would listen to Christmas music, and we'd look at lights, and it's just one of those one of those things at the time I enjoyed, but when I look back on it now, it's even more like just special because it has a lot of good memories. So.
If you ever want to, so this was one of my honorable mentions. If you ever want a place to go do that, and you guys go to Monterey, Candy Cane Lane in Pacific Grove, just
Okay.
up the road. The entire neighborhood gets in on it.
Well, that's like
and-
the Fabulous 40s in Sacramento. Like,
Yeah.
it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's like an experience you drive
Yeah,
through.
for
Yep.
sure.
I don't know if they still do. They have to.
Yeah, probably.
Because you're in your car anyway. So
Right.
like, yeah, that would be cool. Yep.
All right.
All right.
Here we go.
that's awesome.
We've had some pretty solid ones
Yeah.
so far. So number one.
So I didn't want to put like gift ones, but I had to put this one in.
Okay.
I've actually talked about it before on the show, and it's probably the best gift that's ever been given in our family. And it happened 4 years ago, 5
wow.
years ago.
Okay, so this is pretty recent.
And it was the tickets to Kobe's last game.
Oh man,
My mom gave it.
That's so cool.
My mom gave it to us on Christmas, and it was something that in our wildest dreams we didn't even think about. I remember when Kobe announced he was retiring. I texted my mom. I was like, "We need to find a way to get to one of the games," and she goes, "Oh yeah, of course." But at the same time, the Warriors. We used to always go to Warriors games because they were cheap.
Yeah.
But now the Warriors were good, so all the tech bros were buying in, and it was tickets to see the Lakers at the Warriors was a marquee game, and I'm looking. I'm like, what do you think it would be to go to the last game? My mom's like, I don't know. Let me check. And she goes, $500 for nosebleeds.
Ooh.
And we're like, oh
well.
man, never. I was like, never mind. Like that's ridiculous. And I'll never forget. Like my mom was like, she was. I can't remember how she set us up for it, but I don't. There was something reason why my mom's like, me like this year, me and your dad want to like get you and Nick like a more focused gift. So rather than a bunch of little things, just one big thing. And me and my brother had all like given him a couple ideas, and it was funny because we're older, so we don't need a lot of gifts or anything like that. But she'd given us a bunch of little things that were like chapstick and socks and things like that. And I was like, that's kind of interesting. Why would mom ask us about that? And then, so it was all this setup of like little items that were relatively inexpensive for this box that was addressed to me, my dad, and my brother. And we open it up, and the tickets themselves are beautiful, right? And they come with like all this packaging and everything like that. And I'll never forget, I'm leaning on the left side, my brother's on the right side, and my dad's the one sitting down opening the box. And we're leaned over the couch from behind, and my dad opens it up, and you could hear a pin drop.
That's so cool.
And I just remember looking at my brother, and it's weird. It was like these 2 points. I looked at my brother, and I could see his like eyes well up. And I looked at my dad, and my dad like had his mouth over his hand, and my mom's like crying because she's so happy that she was able to do this. And it was like we were so happy. It was like the coolest gift ever. And then it was what made it better is that we got to all go to the game as a family, and it was the most absurd game ever. Like, I mean, we were in the upper bowl, like the nosebleeds, pretty much. Didn't matter. And we got to watch the amazing comeback. Kobe dropped 60, and it was this weird like tie-in. Like the same look I gave my brother when we got the tickets was when he hit his 60th point to go ahead, and we looked at each other like, "Are you kidding me?" And that was like this cool, very cool modern moment because that felt like we were transported to being kids again.
I was just going to say that. What's so cool about that is that as you get older, the magic of Christmas, it's very special. But as a kid, it's so cool. And to be able to experience that feeling as an adult in that moment is, how can that not be number one?
As a kid, it's like, the only way I could put it, it's hope actualized, right?
Yeah.
Like you have all these hopes and thoughts and possibilities, and then you see them come to life with presents and things like that. If we're also very fortunate to have those, and in that moment, it was that same thing. It was like, oh man, wouldn't it be so cool to go to this game? Oh my God, we get to go to this game. Wouldn't it be cool if you like went off? It was all those little pieces of hope actualized into like something that was amazing, and I'll never forget.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, well, mine, my number one is this is the night that will go down basically in infamy in the Woodland House, and we still to this day talk about it during Christmas. So to preface this, my mom does a fantastic job of decorating for Christmas. She gets in the spirit, and she has like this old colonial style, so it's very homey, very cozy. And in the house in which we grew up, my parents now actually live in that neighborhood again, across the street from the house where we grew up.
Yeah.
But we would have in the living room, we had our big Christmas tree, that's where Santa put all the gifts. And then we had a smaller one in the family room, right by the fireplace. And we would put it. My mom just liked having all the Christmas stuff, and decorated very nicely. And I remember, so my brother, I don't know, we must have been 8 and 6 again, kids, horsing around. We're like we were prone to do, like wrestling around, screwing around, right, in the family room by the tree. My father is like, and I'll clean up the language, says, knock it off. You're going to knock over the GD tree, okay? Quit it, right? No, we're okay now. We're okay. So he walks out in the garage, his lair, And so keep doing it, right? My mom's kind of passively like, hey guys, just be careful. We keep wrestling. Dad comes in again from the garage, and I still see the door, right? It opens up. He's like, I thought I told you to not do that. You're going to knock over. Like, no, we're not. It's be fine. He walks off to do his business again, right? Now, as he's making the return trip to go back into the garage, sure enough, one of us, and I don't remember who it was, goes careening into the tree. And I can see it in slow motion, just tipping over. And as I'm watching it, my father's in my field of view. And as the tree passes him, I'm like, oh, I'm going to die. The tree hits the ground. Ornaments are everywhere. Lights have come off. The dog is barking. My mom is just like, oh, no. And I look up at my father, and the only way I can describe it is that if you've ever seen the original Star Trek series, and I think it was the Menagerie episode with those aliens with the vein that just pulses.
Yep.
My dad's head, and he went on this I've got to get in front of the tree. And then my brother and I are just dead silent. We're not saying a thing. We know we're in trouble. And he's like grabbing the tree and yanking. He's trying to put because the more angry your father got, the less capable he was of achieving.
Oh yeah.
So he's jerking the tree. Everyone trying to put it back up. And my poor mother is at the counter that looked into the family room, and she's just kind of just like looking at us, going, "Don't worry." And my dad's just, throwing his fit, and finally gets the tree standing up, and of course it's tilted at like a 30-degree angle, and the lights are, it's not in any sort of display shape.
Yeah.
And so that finally calms down. And my mom, with her impeccable timing that she has, she's like, when she wants, when she wants to really get my dad's attention or be serious, it's Steven, not Steve. Steven, in a few years, we're all going to look back on this and laugh. And he did not take, and then I just remember he went right out to the garage. didn't want to respond to that. And she's right. Every year we would look back on that and laugh and talk about the time my brother and I knocked over the Christmas tree.
Oh, man. That is...
I thought we were going to die. Like, my father had a little bit of a temper.
Yep.
And rightfully so. Warned us 3 times, and then we knocked it over. And that's the last thing he wants to be dealing with on this night, is that the put up a tree again because his 2 idiot sons knocked it over. So
I'm trying to think. I can't honestly think of like a time when the tree got knocked over. Like, that's not a common thing to happen.
It is,
that's like a sacred
not. You
stay away.
Luckily, it was the backup tree. Had it been like the family night, it had been the tree, I may not be sitting here today. Things may have worked out much differently for me.
Yep.
So,
oh my gosh.
But yeah,
that's fantastic. It's just perfect. The tree goes, and then like I could just see like cinematically, like the tree goes out of focus, and it pulls focus in the distance of your dad. And you're just like,
I'm like, I am going to die, because it was like I was old enough to know I had been warned multiple times to not do this, and I couldn't, can't blame it on my brother because he was right there with me, and the 2 of us were being total idiots, and so knocked over the tree, and my dad had to put it back up. And then I think we had to redecorate it anyway. So there you go.
Oh man,
But hopefully everyone will make some more great Christmas memories here and be able to carry us into a good 2021.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So anyway, you got any that you want that didn't make the list that almost made the list?
So Candy Cane Lane was one of them. That's the name of the street that they dress everything up. White Christmas in New Mexico was pretty cool. I remember one time we were all at, like, the talk around the family was having a white Christmas, and I remember we were inside, and then one of my cousins come running out, look out, it's snowing. It was like a scene from a movie where we run out, and it's like snowing in New Mexico, and it was great. There were a couple gifts that were particularly awesome. Was first time we got a basketball hoop.
Oh, that's
cool. Great.
Yeah.
One time I remember I asked for a bunch of pogs for Christmas, and my parents found the 6-foot pog tube.
Whoa, I didn't know those existed.
Oh man, I remember running in and just seeing it like eye to eye with the tree, and was just like, oh my God.
All of the pogs I ever wanted.
Which were essentially worthless like 2 years later. Just pieces of paper. Oh
man, yeah, I had some good. I remembered a couple like really good gifts. I remember getting. Is that the ice cream man?
That is
like the ice cream man.
That sounds exactly like the ice cream man.
Speaking of good memories, but yeah, I had a couple good gifts that I remember. I remember on Christmas Eve we used to open presents that my grandparents sent, and this is in the 80s. So when I remember my dad had this old 8mm like home movie camera, so we would. I remember one year my mom thought it'd be great again to like send a video of us opening the gifts to my grandparents. And so I remember my brother had to open a gift and hold up the sign, because there's no sign on these things. Like, thank you, Grandma and Grandpa, Martha and Ray. Like, we'd hold that up. So I remember that whole rigmarole in production. But yeah, and I can always remember getting up as a kid in the middle of the night and going out and looking at the tree and getting even more fired up before I went back to see if Santa had showed up.
Oh yeah.
And then I remember my parents just doing some cool things for us that I remember one year I got this thing called the Star Wars Droid Factory where you could build your own droids.
Ooh.
And my dad was just as big a kid as I was at his, he was in his late 30s at the time, or mid 30s, and he had like already opened it and started to play with it. So I came out and it was like already set up. I'm like, hey, Santa set it up for me. That's awesome. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh man. I'm trying to think. Advent calendars, like the daily
those
calendars.
Were the best.
Yeah, those are great.
I love those.
It's weird. So we have one that we have one in recent history that like is reusable that you put stuff in, but there was always the one you get from the store.
Yeah, those are great.
That like something about that chocolate just hits different.
It does hit differently
It's
a tactile countdown.
It is.
You're like, ooh man, Christmas coming up. And Christmas is always like the big window. Yeah.
Yep. Oh man. Yeah. Advent calendar. I'm trying to think if there's anything. More recently, we'd always go see the latest Star Wars movie, the last episode 7, 8, 9. We would see with our cousins at Christmas. Yeah. So that was always a little tradition every other year.
All right.
But, yep.
Well, that was fun.
Whew.
Good talking about those again. And like you said, very lucky and very fortunate to have very good memories from my time as a kid at Christmas, and still even now. So I hope everybody's having a great Christmas, great holiday season. That's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.